Okay, in this special first-time high-quality production level podcast on the DHR podcast, I sit down with Reuven Kirshner here in Carmeat, one of the earliest adopters to the area, where we talk about the expansion of the community, exactly why people came here, and exactly why people come here now, the different institutional infrastructure they have, the different commercial infrastructure they have, the layout of the area, and exactly why someone might consider moving all the way out to Carmeat as opposed to maybe some of the more established areas they might be more familiar with. I really hope you guys enjoy this episode, and let me know what you think. Anyway, so Reuven Kirshner, so nice of you to take the time right here and meet me out.
Pleasure.
I really find that this is the first time I'm sitting down with somebody who is doing something very similar. Although, it's no secret that I obviously have an angle. I do sell real estate here in Israel. But the way that I'm trying to go about it as much as I possibly can is to really try to provide as much value to the buyers, to the people who are actually considering moving to Israel, to the people who are going to go and invest their money in Israel, and not on the property side as much, which is why so often when you come to definitely more I've seen from Israeli realtors, where you say, hey, here's what I'm looking for, and they're like, okay, and then they just show you what they have. Like right. Almost regardless. Sure. Like, but what if you change everything you've wanted and come and look at this instead? So I'm really trying as hard as I can to just give as much honest, open, real information about coming to Israel. And I think the thing that's most important for people, especially coming from America, is the community, is the people that they're going to be near, is the people that their kids are going to be near, the type of life that they're going to create, and the social fabric that's going to end up imbuing, I think, the hashkafa and the outlook that their kids are going to have, as they grow up. So I like what you're doing with the community blueprints, because I think you're definitely the right guy to talk to. I want to get into a little bit about what you're doing with that podcast, and then what you've been doing here in Carmeat, because as I understand, you're one of the earlier adopters.
Yeah.
You got it on the VC level.
I got on the no streets level.
No streets level. On the donkeys on the side of the road level.
Literally no sidewalks.
Yeah.
So people forget that that's what it was like here about 10 years ago. We'll start with
10 years is crazy for that much.
Well, we bought, when we came 10 years ago, we bought almost to the day. We bought a first property, and literally there was no Carmeat. It was empty. It was an open field. They had started the foundation for a few of the buildings, and the way that it was pitched to us was, this is going to be the Modi'in of the South. Like, we like Modi'in, we like the South, but there was literally, I was like, but there's no streets. Like, well, how do we know the project's actually going to work? And he's like, you see these street lamps? I'm like, yeah, I see street lamps. I don't see any streets. But anyway, we took the
schematic.
Yeah, he's like, it's going to be there. I'm like,
see the future.
I'm like, I can kind of see it. I don't know. We'll talk a little bit more about the Carmei. But Community Blueprints is a podcast that I've been working on for about half a year or so. And the idea is, I've had a lot of experience personally in Carmeat, building community, but also in other places, different yeshivot, Bnei Akiva, different walks of life that I've been involved with, different communal types of roles, not necessarily living, but people coming together around a shared idea, a shared ideal. And what my inclination was is that 90% of community building is the same, no matter if you plug it into Carmeat or Rehovot or anywhere in America, anywhere in the world, and whether it's a physical community, a digital community, the principles I thought are the same. And so I'm taking this podcast as an opportunity to talk to lay leaders in different communities, first of all, physical communities, to understand their perspective and to test that theory. That's what I'm doing with the podcast.
How many episodes have you been able to get into?
15. And I'm doing a combination of interviewing lay leaders and then also trying to interview people within my own community, or even I did a solo episode to try to give different perspectives and understanding.
I saw even you're not even focused on Israel.
Not only focused on Israel per se, no.
I'm saying you're focused on Israel and whatever, but I'm saying I saw you had something in London and
right.
Somewhere not Massachusetts, somewhere in
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah.
And
So-
a former colleague of mine who is part of the Latter-day Saints church in Arizona, spoke to him about his community.
Really?
And you'd be surprised how similar it really is.
I wonder if you're going to touch at all upon people who have online communities.
That's the plan.
Yeah?
But for now, I decided to niche down into physical communities,
Because that
mostly
includes
around
the family and whatever.
Yeah, and also the institutions that are around it.
That's the most raw meaning of a community. We kind of borrow the term a little bit online. Now that you're, spelling that out a little bit, I think that's the case for sure. Okay, fine. So I guess kind of up to you. I want to go into how your theory has tested versus the people you've spoken to, what's been confirmed, what's been disproven as far as you can, understand in terms of that. And I want to know, I guess, the steps along the way in the different communities that you said you've been a part of in terms of in Yeshiva and B'nai Akiva, whatever. What were things that you saw did not work? What were the things that say, this is like missing something essential? And then I'm curious about how that has been mapped, into Carmei got here and what you've done to bring it in, what you're hoping to do, what the plans.
Yeah. So.
And what's led to the success of it. Because even though I'm sure you're not where, everyone has another goal, but this is already a success that never could have been predicted 10 years ago. When you're looking at, 6 rocks, a piece of dirt, and lampposts to a place that people are moving directly from Teaneck to.
Yeah, that's pretty new. That's the past 2 years that people are making Aliyah directly to Carmei Gat.
And a lot of investment money coming in. A lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of investment money coming in. A lot of being misrepresented by real estate agents and companies all around. It didn't happen. No one cared about us until all of a sudden we're a big community.
This is why I want to take a second and say, this is only a luxury environment. Everyone here is willing to sell, and if you say my name to everybody, you're going to get a 500,000 discount, a 500,000 shekel discount, no matter what you're going on.
Yeah, 100%.
And Reuven just said he'll sell his own place, half price
for the right price.
Yeah,
for the price.
For half of the right price.
I would say that every man has their price, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard to get my house for me, though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack.
Yeah, a lot's been misrepresented. I'm actually curious. I'm curious, kind of. Also, what type of critical mass you have to have passed for real estate agents to have started taking an interest and misrepresenting it? What was the,
Listen, for the most part, I don't like, maybe that sounded like pretty, I know you're also a real estate agent. I'm not trying to say anything specifically negative.
Some people are trying to sell.
They're trying to sell though, right? That's what it comes down to. And
trying to sell is highlighting specific things and maybe omitting other things.
Maybe. But... So there's been, I would say a common denominator around community building is having a physical space, which is, I think, overlooked a lot. Not just a place to live, but a place to get together. I think that's one of the more crucial components that you need to actually grow a community. Meaning if we just had a caravan, which when we started, we were just in a room. We started in an apartment. You can only do so much with an apartment. And then we had a room in a community center. Also, max capacity was 40, 50 people. It's men and women and kids and things like that. Then we moved to a high school where we had 60 people. What?
Ort?
The Ort High School, yeah. We moved from one building to the other building. We were davening, we would get together in the lobby. So there's no air conditioning, but there's a huge space. And we were able to but we went from 12 families to 35, to 60, to 120, to 180, to 220, to 260. These are major jumps that we've had over the past 5 years. And 7 years, 5 to 7 years. And I think without having the physical space to give people an ability to actually come together, you're not able to grow. You get stopped at a certain point. And we have that issue right now. We're in the process of getting building permits so we can build a huge shul that will hopefully be able to represent and include a lot of our community, have 5 or 6 things in parallel going on, and being able to but until then, we're in a space which is not small, 300 plus square meters, but it's not big enough. We have, we're talking about 260 families, we got 1,000 people that come in a given week.
Wow.
Including kids. Of the 1,000 people, we have 350 that are 3 and younger. So you think about what that's going to look like in 5 years. It's insane. We can run a school just from our specific community, and there's more communities within Carmeat. So that's having a physical space is definitely not thought about a lot. People just sort of go and they have
It's
neighbors.
really not.
They have neighbors, but you go to even in places like in one of the episodes I talked to Mishkafayim, I talked to Bakshe Emes Chevra, and they have a shul that they built, and they're at max capacity. They made a relationship with the school across the street that they do some of the programming off campus. You have to be creative about that, but you ideally want to do everything in one place. You lose people when you have to cross the street. So I think that that's something that when you think about, we talk about Cincinnati, they had a huge space and they were able to regentrify themselves after years of decline when they got a new rabbi, but also when they figured out how to get other people to use their space. So I think that's overlooked. It's one of the things one of the very important lessons that I've taken so far.
No, it's funny. I haven't had anything like that confirmed, but I recently had this. I had this thought because I moved to Rehovot recently because of the community, and because it has a lot of other conveniences. It wasn't too far from this, that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And the price was right. So thank God we're happy there. We like the community there. But definitely there's certain parts coming from. It's like much more of an out of town, vibe to it. There's parts of that I really like, and there's parts of that I feel like, okay, like, as I've gotten a little bit older, I can recognize the things from my past that or community components that I was not so into, that I was into, and think about it a little more logically. And there's parts that I would say, okay, if we're gonna try to change something or move something or do something, and that was like, as I kept on going through the, what it would take to actually get everybody on board, I'm like, the only thing that could really make it change is if we were to raise crazy money and build a new place. Because the place itself actually gives it a different vibe. You can't change something in the middle of its, in the middle of the people who are there, in the middle of the shul that already exists there. It would need to come something that's fresh. And the physical space is, at the end of the day, always what you come back to. The community can move, but the space is always going to imbue it with its,
Yeah.
with how people relate to it. Is it a well renovated and something that gives off an elevated experience? Or is it a little schlubby? Or is it, whatever it is, all those things, I think you're absolutely right, wildly overlooked. When people talk about community, they're never referring to the physical walls of the shul, even though I would agree with you and say that it is one of the absolutely most essential components that really gives the context for everything that's going to happen inside of it.
And you could have the greatest intention and the most amazing people that are willing to volunteer their time. We already have like 6 or 7 different age-specific programming on Shabbat.
Wow.
We have tefillah for little kids. We have tefillah for slightly older kids. We have learning. We have 2 different learning groups for third to fifth grade, or second to fifth grade, and 5th to 8th grade. We have all these but you get stuck once you don't have enough space to. I want to open up a Sephardi minyan. I want to open up a minyan that's meant to be run by youth, but you don't physically have the space to do it. You want to do another learning program for high school. You want to split up.
People have high school kids here?
There's a small group, relatively small, but you don't want to have 2nd to 5th grade together. You want to have 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th, but you can't split them up because you don't have anywhere to put them. So, and that comes to the next point, which is volunteering. I've had a big evolution in my understanding of people that are volunteering.
I haven't explored this so much, so I'm curious where you're going.
So,
I can see where you're going, but
yeah, well, I think it's pretty obvious that there's people that are the lay leaders of the communities. This is something that in my podcast, I'm talking to these people all the time. These are the people that I'm speaking to. The realization that I came to is that while the 80-20 rule, it's not my realization,
right,
but the 80-20 rule, the 80% of the work is being done by 20% of the people.
Yeah.
What I realized is that's actually very healthy for a community, because often what you have to make sure it doesn't happen is burnout of the 20%. That's what you have to make sure doesn't happen. You have to make sure those 20% are being reinforced and they're being given support, and the 80% are recognizing that 20% of the people are doing it for them, for sure. Otherwise, you're going to get burnout. You're going to have people that don't want to do it. But can you imagine if it was the opposite? The 80% of the people wanted to do everything. it would be chaos. We wouldn't be able to get anything done. Be too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
And so what I noticed is that communities almost always breaks down like this, that you really have only 20% of people, more or less, that are doing all the work. And where communities thrive or struggle is how those people are related to. That's another.
It's funny, a friend of mine said recently that the shul that he's in, it's in America, they were trying to figure out, like, they needed a new treasurer.
Yeah.
And he said initially when they asked him, he was like, I don't want to do that. Like it's lame or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, that's dafka why I'm going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? As in,
Right,
no,
right.
it actually is you're doing an actual an actual job that is helping the community that somebody needs to do. That you know what I mean? To just go and accept that. And I think that generally how they're related to, it's a very interesting idea because for sure a lot of times it can be a very thankless job. Because when things are not done the way people like or the way people are comfortable to, it can get religious. It can get, it can create divisions that are like,
it's never going to get the way that everyone wants it to.
It'll be very fatiguing for the people who are giving their free time to try and help build something. The people there, you know what I mean, are not.
Yeah.
So how do you, I guess, translate that, a position the people who are actually putting in the hours, are doing the work, are going to make sure that they are related to, and the people, you know what I mean, can recognize what they're putting in.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways of going about it. I don't have all the answers yet. I'm working on it. That's what
do you
the
have,
podcast is for.
50%? What would you say?
A lot of it has to do with just recognition, publicly, individually, personally. I don't know how much you have to like buy gifts and things like that. I don't think people that are giving up their times, they need to have plaques and presents. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I also think it's definitely less Israeli. Like less
But
people
way,
who come to Israel.
Yeah, but I'm saying for sure it's less of a thing in Israel.
It's just a lesser culture. Yeah,
I mean, in Israel also the idea of a community is much less. The idea of a shul being more than a place to daven is not. There's not so many programs that happen. Like everyone just relies on, and they rely on the area, they rely on the government, they rely on like the big things that are happening, as opposed to focusing on the families themselves who they're hanging out with. There's a place that we daven. They sometimes do kiddush, sometimes not even. Like it's not even.
No, it's
very a different vibe.
I was when I was living in Jerusalem before I moved to Rehovot. I was right next to Bayit Vagan, not a particularly Anglo area, and there was a few times where. In general, I hadn't, had all of these assumptions. I didn't realize that you never realize the assumptions that you're walking in with to a situation until someone's coming in with a totally separate ones, and those two, meet. But there was many times where the people in the community who I was a part of had certain ideas or notions about how certain things should look or run about a community. And I mean, we're saying the same words, but we're talking about different planets of experience. Sure. And even when I left the community, they had asked me to double my... what's it called? The amount of money that I was giving every month because they wanted to renovate a whole new place and get a bigger area. And, I was like, yeah, listen, like, I hope you guys, I want only success for you guys. I really do. I have nothing, but like, it's just, there's nothing there for me. He was shocked. It was like a modern Haredi type of vibe there.
Yeah.
I was definitely their, I was like their Kiruv project.
The Kiruv project.
I felt like, no, it was so funny. I can't even tell you. There was, I wear like, with not just black suits, okay? So already when I walk in, it makes everyone feel like, oh, we're diverse. It's a diverse area because that guy's here. And and there was also a few times where like I was learning with a friend of mine. We were doing Daf Yomi at the time when I was doing another day, another Daf. I was doing this fun segment on the Daf Yomi, and there was times where like I would learn with him, and so someone came up to him after I left and was like, so good that you're learning with him, like, getting him to come to shul, whatever. It's just like hilarious because in the meantime, whatever, it's not even like I'm no rabbi, I'm no nothing like that, but at the same time, I'm also like, I was teaching in a yeshiva at nights there, and what I mean, to like Shraga, it was just a funny contrast. But anyway, when I told him I'm leaving, and he's like, why? I'm like, listen, there's just no community. He's like, what do you mean? We have shiurim and Torah? I'm like, yes. That is exactly what you have. Sure. That is it. That is what you have. You have a place where you come, people are davening, people are learning. That's not community. That works for me if I don't have a family and it's nothing about them. But until the women get together, until there's a space for the children, essentially, until there's a space and a programming, an idea for the children, you have nothing. Because without something for the children, the women can't come. And if the women don't come, then there's no real familial, bonds that actually that make people actually get together. And if there's none of that, then what are you doing? It's just guys having a men's club,
Right.
which is fun for getting away, but it's not fun for integration and building something. Everyone has guys clubs, you know what I mean? Whatever. Some people like to even learn. Some people like to run. Some people like to play poker, whatever. Those are not the things that actually build the foundation that allows a family to actually flourish in the area.
Right.
Unless you're aiming at the kids, you have nothing. You have nothing to start with.
It's interesting you said about diversity. Like you were the
diversity
you
hire.
were the diversity,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
DEI hire.
People are like, this guy over here.
People look at our community over here in Carmeat and they say, wow, it's such a diverse community, but it's like so hard. I'm like, how different are we? Right? We all decided to move to the same place. The shul is Dati Leumi, Modern Orthodox, whatever. But so there are some people that are different sides of that, but they're all within that world for the most part. A few Chabad guys, but it's basically the same. We're all saying the same school, same guy. Like, how different are we really? So I speak. I went to the army. I speak more Hebrew, less English. I want more of a community, less community. I care about the shiurim. I care about the social. Like, how different is that? Like, what's the real core differences? They're very small.
From people from the outside, when they're saying this, do you think they're looking mostly at how people are dressing? That's what
Dressing also is an aspect of it.
I feel like that's the most physical thing that your eyes are like drawn to, or it's like, wow, there's a lot of diversity here. By the way, when anybody tells me that their community is diverse, I know that there's no Haredi people there. Almost a guarantee. Every time I've said that, to me it's almost ironic, because I find in general that in places that are very Haredi often like living with a lot, like in more similar structures where people are much more consistently Haredi, to the point where now I feel like the greatest expression of diversity would be having Haredi involved in like the, you know what I mean, involved in the structure, because that would actually mean that you're ranging something from a, you know what I mean?
That's exactly the point. Like, how diverse are we really? Like, everyone's different. Everyone's their own world, and we should appreciate people individually and come.
So what do you think people are saying when they say that?
What are they saying? That they look different, maybe? They think different, but they think that they think different.
How, let's put it like this. This is a dumb question that I think people don't want to admit actually they pay attention to, but how diverse is what people are wearing on Shabbos in shul?
I think it's part of it. I think.
No, but I'm just asking.
I think what the bigger point is. I think what the bigger point over here is not necessarily what they're physically wearing, although for sure that's the aspect of it. It's who are you talking to? Are you talking to people outside of your immediate friend circle? Are you going up to someone you don't know and saying, "Hey, how are you?" And once you have more than a few sentences with somebody, you can say, "Oh, I have like what to talk to you about."
Of course.
And like this place isn't so diverse.
Right.
Like we're all deciding to come here for like pretty similar reasons. We wanted a place that's not a big city, that's not a yishuv, that's more affordable, that's still on the train line, that you can get to work for, that's young, that's new, got parks. Like there's reasons that people are coming, the technical reasons that people are coming. You're coming to the shul because you live close to it, or because you decided this is the shul that you want to come to. I think as communities get bigger, as shuls get bigger, it becomes more of people aren't necessarily coming to build it or to like whatever, they're coming because it's already there.
This is a classic first generation, second generation, third.
Exactly, exactly. But I think that the diversity feeling happens when people aren't investing the time to get to know the people around them. And so they feel that it's more diverse than it actually is. And then part of it does have to do with clothing, for
That's
sure.
so interesting. Let me think about that for a second, because generally, I would hope that the diversity is a result of getting to know the people and seeing how many different people have all managed to come into one umbrella.
Sure.
And you're saying that it's the exact opposite.
I think human beings, especially when you get
more
smaller,
similar than dissimilar.
Are more similar than different. Yeah, I think that we like the differences are so. I can't remember who says this. Maybe it was.
Let's go Mark Twain.
Yeah, sure, Mark Twain. If you like look, people are like 90% the same, but we choose to talk about the 10% all the time. Like, we want to like highlight our differences to show that like we're unique and special and different, and like, we are unique and special and different. Everyone is.
On the aside, though, I will say that there's a lot of actual backed data that places that are more homogenous create more radicalism.
Because the percentages are smaller.
No, but also you need to differentiate yourself from people. That's just a human nature thing. So if I need to differentiate myself from people who are have a greater difference, so the need also becomes easier to distinguish, and I don't feel the need to assert it as much. But if we're all similar, then I only have one direction in order to actually differentiate myself, which is to a greater degree of extremism, and it creates a less healthy environment when there's less diversity.
Yeah.
In
How
that
much Torah
regard,
do you want to bring into this? How much Torah do you want to bring into this?
I want to bring good conversation. If Torah is the means to get there,
Gishmak.
Baruch Hashem,
Baruch Hashem.
then I feel like we're doing it right.
We're in the parshas now of Sefer Dvarim.
Yeah, but we don't need to like get into Uktzin out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? At least let's keep it about the
Yeah.
conversation.
How does Bnei Israel counted with a half shekel?
Yeah.
Why are they counted with a half shekel?
Because you can get everybody. Everyone can afford that.
Everyone could afford that. Also, because every person's important. Every contribution is important. Also, when you only give a half a shekel, you realize there's another half shekel that's not there. Also, the way that we're giving is each person individually giving, but the way we traveled was in our families. And our families all had different flags. And our flags were all around the Torah. And we understand that we're individually important, but we're also different and we all have our own brand. That's when you're able to live in diversity, when you realize that we're all just part of the same team.
100%. It's funny, I was saying even a little bit what we said before, I was thinking a lot about why Kabbalah Torah is always something that is preceded with some type of immense unity that happens beforehand, which usually I feel like is almost explained away as like just kind of cute and nice, and we all just come together. It's so nice.
Kumbaya.
Yeah, kumbaya, dance the hora, everyone's great, circle dancing, and we're all in love with the Torah together. But I think it's actually the very groundwork that allows for relationships to be built is that there is people always talk about there's common values. Mm-hmm. But common values without a literal common value that can be defined, all of a sudden when stretched, when stress tested, you can find out that you're actually not standing necessarily on actually a same place, just something that looks similar and uses the same language, but you know what I mean? You can actually end up in a place where you're really in different places and you no longer have the means to bridge the gap between you and somebody. But if you always go back to, wait a minute, if we're always trying to explain the same text, we're always looking back to the same source for our values, we'll always have a means to connect to each other. I think almost in that regard, the Torah is the very fabric that allows for relationships to exist because it's giving us a central identity that we're all given space to come back to and, create bonds over. And so I think that putting it as the center and allowing for people to have a different angle to view it but all looking at the same thing gives, I think, potentially the best tool ever for creating healthy means for the broadest amount of relationships possible. So I think that some of the best communities, of course, are ones that are focused on Torah because it's a lofty goal. It's something that you can strive for. It's healthy, obviously. It's, you know what I mean? Like there's so much in it that allows for, on so many levels, extremely healthy community building components.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's a beautiful idea. I think that oftentimes people get together against a common enemy as opposed to around a common goal, which is what...
Well, I think that's even just the very nature of anti-Semitism. Hashem uses that all the time. If it's not going to be for something good, it'll be for something bad. But like you guys are in this together. I don't think you figured that out yet. But like you said, you're not as different as you think you are, right? Yeah. It's just 12, y'all came from the same place, 12 tribes, but one dad. So now I'm curious about what we've spoken about in community building, the essential components of that. What do you think has attributed to a great degree of the success in Carmeat? Because I think in many ways you'd have a defendable case saying that this has been one of the most successful Anglo communities over the past 5-10 years in terms of expansion in a brand new area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you could say, oh, well, Neve Shamir, Ramat Beit Shemesh Hey, but Ramat Beit Shemesh Hey was a play off of something well established already. Like it's no huge chiddush that people move to Ramat Beit Shemesh Hey. But this is genuinely a chiddush. So,
first of all, I would correct you and say we're not an Anglo community. I think that's one of the challenges that people come with that expectation, and they're met in a very different reality. We have a lot of Anglos that moved here. There's a lot of English speaking. If you come to our shul, the majority of the people will speak English. Many of those people are second generation Israelis. I mean, their
Okay.
families made
Like
Aliyah.
Beit Shemesh,
Beit Shemesh,
Netanya,
Modi'in,
maybe Efrat.
different places like that.
Okay.
Beit Shemesh is the biggest theater
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
imagine.
And our shuls run totally in Hebrew, and around you, you're going to have people to try English speak you, but as much as it exists and it's part of the culture, and you'll hear things like takeaway, it's not English speaking. Our schools are not built currently. They're evolving, they're getting with the program, but they're not built in the same with the same resources that exist in established places like Beit Shemesh and Yerushalayim, Renana, Modi'in, these places that have huge hubs and huge resources being poured into it. So we're not an Anglo community. Of course, there's a lot of English speakers and a lot of
Well, I
programming.
want to give
that
you a
happens.
little pushback there because I agree that the language in which is spoken at the shul would be a big indicator in terms of how you'd actually define the community.
Sure.
But one of the most important things for Anglos, as you know, choosing a place to live, is that there's a lot of Anglos there. So regardless if you say it's an Anglo community, it's practically like it has a lot of the juice in
Sure.
terms of all of the Anglo, not all of the Anglo infrastructure, but a lot of the Anglo people that you could feel like, okay, I'll have people coming from similar communities to where I was in America. People are speaking the same language, understanding the same culture.
Yeah.
Well-
So you have that social safety net of sorts.
Right.
But on an institutional level,
So
you
that's
don't have the same institutions
Right.
and structure and help.
So that's almost what I want to
Yeah.
ask. How did it happen that this exists here? And on some level, even people who are moving here now are pioneering because they don't have all that infrastructure yet. What do you think allowed for that? What do you think has been, you know what I mean? If you had to point to something and say, this is why this has been able to get to the place that it is now, to the point where the institutions need to catch up with the people because the demand is here already.
Demand is here and it's growing and
Yeah.
it's amazing and it's really exciting to be a
Chaz
part of
Hashem.
it. Baruch Hashem. And it's funny because 10 years ago, when my wife and I heard about Carmeat from a family member who, whatever, that like her in-laws bought her a place and like, go check it out. It's like going to be like for like young people, and we're like asking people around. There was someone in the Nefesh B'Nefesh website who I emailed, who was like the contact person with Carmeat, never responded to me. I'm like, this is
Love
a
it.
scam. There's no real person here.
Yeah.
That person has moved here since then. He reached out to me after I became the guy in the Nefesh B'Nefesh.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And you didn't respond to him?
Yeah. I was like, you're real? You're really live?
Seriously.
And so when we initially were buying here, the pitch was, we can be the next generation that's not Modi'in, Chashmonaim, Beit Shemesh, and we can be a place that's like Israeli, that we have a presence in, and blah, blah, blah. And obviously that changed. And you're asking why it changed.
Well, I just want to ask, in terms of what you're saying, in terms of how it was sold in terms of what we're not?
Well, the email I wrote is like, there's nobody here now. We can build something, and we can do it from the ground up. And right now, it's not an infrastructure that is what people are familiar with, and we can do it different.
Okay,
And
different
to a certain
how?
extent.
Was it described or just different?
Well, I was describing it.
Okay.
And I was describing it as an Israeli shul, an Israeli community, that there's Anglos, but it maybe have an Anglo feel as far as socially, as far as educationally, as far as things that you get outside of just, which is the core, the davening and the learning, but things that outside that are going to focus on other aspects of the family as well.
Okay.
So wanted to bring the Anglo flavor to the Israeli society, kind of a thing. And it did start off that way. The English speakers were by far the minority for 2 years. And already by 3 years, it was getting closer. By 4 years already, it was more than half of the shul was English speakers. Again, a lot of them were not, none of them almost, there was like 2 families or 3 families that made Aliyah straight to here. But almost none of them were people that didn't already have spent time in Israel. A lot of them had went to the army, had already done Shirut Leumi, things of that nature, or have already just lived here for a while. And I think part of what gave the success is the technical cost of it, right? It's cheaper.
Logistics.
That goes back to the first thing we talked about.
So the place, the physical, like, as in.
Said that was definitely,
gotta make
definitely
sense,
part
first
of
and
it.
foremost.
Is that it was just, there was a lot of apartments, and they were very inexpensive. When we first came here, rent was, you can get a 3-bedroom for under 3,000 shekel. Yeah, you're not getting that now. But that's what it was for a while. And part of it's because there was no infrastructure, there was no supermarkets, there was no any stores. There wasn't even a makolet. There were no streets.
How'd you sell it to Americans?
Didn't sell it.
How did Americans get sold on that?
Okay. No, I mean, I did spend a lot of time just telling people, come. Like, now's the time to get it. Now's the time to get it. We're gonna build something. In the beginning, the only thing that we really could sell for is tell them that it's not that bad. Because even though there's nothing in Carmeat Gat's only a few minutes away. Carmeat Gat's a neighborhood in Carmeat Gat. So you can drive 5 minutes or 7 minutes to Rami Levi, to all the stores that you need to get, all the doctors and everything like that. It's within the same municipality.
Right. It's not a new city.
It's not a new city.
Right.
It feels like a new city because it's on the other side of the highway and it's separated.
Thank God, man.
And
it's a great distinction.
It's amazing because it's like the difference between Carmei Gat and a place like Carmei HaNediv or Ramat Beit Shemesh, Aleph, Bet Gimel, Dal, Hey, Vav, Zayin, whatever they're up to, is it's not just a neighborhood that's next to the other neighborhood that already exists. It's totally separate.
Yeah.
It's the same municipality. You don't have your own governance or anything like that. You have this,
which is good. You don't want that. You don't want to start over again.
Yes and no.
No, but say you don't want fresh corruption. You do want something already be in place because
there's pros and cons for sure.
Yeah,
but for sure, and also for sure in the beginning, having the safety net of an existing infrastructure was helpful, and having the ability to go to work was helpful. There was Ofer Sofer, the MK in charge of Aliyah and absorption, whatever. Aliyah Klita, whatever.
Ofer Sofer.
He came.
He's got to be a political,
He's a guy. He's a nice guy.
That's quite a political name.
He came to our community a couple of years ago to ask, like, how did you? The same question you're asking. Where did the success come from? And part of it was definitely the technical things, and part of it was just we built a really strong community. We started it off with, we kept getting the space that we needed, but we kept also just good people were moving here. People that were willing to move out of the main cities, that were willing to
pioneer a little bit.
They were willing to roll up their sleeves and do what was needed. And you still have those people. It gets, the magic is sort of lost as it gets bigger, which is like a chance. Like, how do you keep that? Is the next question. How do you thrive?
Success kills every movement, because when you don't have it, that's the thing that that you're all driving towards, and then you get a little bit of success, and you have to reinvent your whole, broader vision of what you're actually trying to do here. It's a different game.
Like, it's not a yishuv that there's people can decide. There's a vadat kabbalah who gets to move here, who doesn't get to move here. You don't have any control over who comes. And people are welcome to join the shul, the building fund, all the kind of things. Like, everyone's welcome to do. There's very open-mindedness, a large level of open-mindedness and desire to bring in as many people as want to be there. But also in the beginning, we were the only show in town. Now there's more places. Like, there's more opportunities. There's more neighborhoods. So there's the opportunity to also say, we want you to come. We want you to feel comfortable. And if you don't feel comfortable, we still want you to come, but it's okay also if you go somewhere else. There was an expectation in the beginning that everyone has to come here. Now you don't have to come to Carmeat Zion. You don't have to come to the it
also forces you again to define a little more than how are you
right. So now that there's more options, you get to focus on so how are we going to double down and figure out what the vision is,
what we are,
and what we are, and what we want to be, and what we want to get to. And we're building this huge building. Why are we building this building? What's the point? Are we just going to be a mini factory? Are we going to actually build real educational, social institutions that allow for real growth and real opportunity, and a place that really can meet it? I'm saying, again, going back to those numbers, we are already at 259 is the last number, 260 families, 1,000 people, 1,000 souls, 1,000 builders that came to the same place. And how do you help and keep them engaged and keep them growing and keep them giving back, not just taking, but also giving, and not just to ourselves,
also
but also
feeling
to the
enough
community.
type of belonging that you're in a position to give.
Exactly. Exactly. How do you get? And by the way, one of the answers, there's a lot, and there's most of them I don't know, but one of the answers is trying to reduce the amount of communication that happens on WhatsApp.
Wow.
Yeah, for real. WhatsApp should be a place that you communicate facts, very little
You wanna know-
conversations.
One of my ideas for today's video, I'm going to do some man on the street interviews, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to give away 100 shekel to whoever is in the most WhatsApp groups connected to Carmeat.
Oh, should we see if I'm winning?
How many do you have? How many do you have?
Should we
Pull it
check?
up.
Should we check?
I'm very curious. I also want you
I'm
to tell
definitely
me.
not winning though.
Tell me what they are and how many are in. I'm just curious.
I'm definitely
I'll tell you
not
why I'm
winning.
very
There's a
interested in that.
community of them.
But the idea was to reduce it. That's so funny.
Listen, I must be in.
Read them out. Read them out.
Oh, read them out. Okay, let's see. Carmeat apartments, rent and buy. Carmeat money exchange, job stuff, milimnikim, gun talk.
Just guns?
Just guns.
And there's miluim, and then there's just guns.
Yeah.
Those are for like the miluim enthusiasts.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
or the people that aren't in miluim, that have guns. We became a yeshiv zakai. Everyone can get a gun here now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we should sell it. And then there's frisbee. There's football.
Wow.
There's all the shul ones, which is what I'm not even talking about.
Right, there's 6 or 7 of those all by themselves.
And then there's all of these groups that I can join that are part of the community, and there's another like 20 of them or 30 of them. Wow. And I'm not in most of them. I already feel like I'm in a lot. It's like a lot to even just say those words out loud.
And so why do you feel like it's essential to reduce communication on WhatsApp?
Not to reduce it.
Oh, do you need to check, by the way, about your meeting? You want to take a second?
I just did. And not to reduce.
Are we good until?
For now, let's see what she says.
Okay.
Not to reduce, actually to increase communication, but to make sure that digital communication is not conversational. Because you don't get tone, you don't get context, you don't get any of that stuff.
You just get text.
You just get
no
text,
context.
and everyone reads it differently. And no matter how many times you read, especially a lot of, like when I was sending the messages, when I was the president of the shul, I'm not anymore, but and I have to translate everything from English to Hebrew, and things get lost in translation, in the purest form, not just the expression of it, but literally lost in translation. And so like you get people just like find the letter and they just jump on it, and not necessarily for evil reasons or bad reasons, but because that's what they read, and so as more and more people are involved, you want to distill the communication to very specific things and try to actually go back to more in-person conversations and just
and you
open
feel like,
up smaller forums.
You feel like people are getting that? You feel
no,
like
definitely not.
Yeah, because I feel like the WhatsApp groups are just growing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you've got your work cut out for you there.
I think we all do, right?
I want to though. I don't know how much time we're gonna have. So I also want to talk a little bit on a very practical level. First of all, what are you telling people now who are looking into Carmeat? Because the messaging 5 years ago was it's not that bad and things are so cheap, and you know what I mean. Yeah. Now that's not the case. People, cat's out of the bag, as they say.
Yeah.
Even I was talking with AI before. I was like, okay, tell me what you think about Carmeat, and they were giving me all these ideas like this place that no one's ever heard of before. I'm like, it's
not true.
It's not the crowd. Like you're just missing that if you think that you're still discovering something no one's ever,
And not only that, the prices have actually gone down in like apartments because there's so many projects are finishing and the market is getting a little more flooded than it was. Like it peaked probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, listen, but
ups and downs.
I think though that once things finish here, once this once this project is done, the Ben Munah project is done.
Yeah.
And practically all of Carmeat is developed.
Right.
And then they start doing North Carmeat. That'll just bring up the value in Carmeat because
Sure.
North Carmeat is not built with the same degree of intention, value given to the people, and it's just a lot of tall buildings. So people who are like, oh, I like that there's the area here. This is, I think, you're going to gain in value, whereas that will be the secondary option always to this. I think it'll highlight.
Right. I mean, it's like you have more of a suburban feel. That's what
I think it's such a nice balance between that tall building, these middle buildings, those houses, the 3-story buildings. It's got such a nice level of layout that everyone gets a view. You don't feel so crowded. Like I think it's just done really, really well. So what's the
always
messaging?
room for improvement, but yeah, it's done overall.
Listen, find me a place that's done better.
Exactly. As far as it goes, like it's aesthetically nice. There's a ton of parks. We have 3 different malls that are different in each of them what they offer. You really barely have to leave Carmeat. You used to have to always leave Carmeat for things. Now you barely have to leave it.
How long does it take to get to Tel Aviv practically? Because you have to get into Kiryat Gat to get to the train.
Yeah, you have to get
that's 20 minutes.
The
no.
Train, well, it depends. I bike. It takes
so
it takes me like 10 minutes.
Oh, nice.
To get to, unless I'm really late, then it takes me 6.
Yeah.
But it's about 3 kilometers, more or less,
Okay.
from wherever you live in Carmeat to the train.
It's like a mile and change.
Yeah, something like that. 2 miles. No,
Oh yeah.
almost
Maybe.
2 miles.
Yeah.
About 2 miles, and so so however you get there.
But
Some
it's
people
so
think the
flat.
bus. It's flat. Yeah, it's literally
That's nice.
you're running on a treadmill, right?
Yeah.
And then there's 2 different trains. There's the express train, which takes about 45 minutes, and then there's the longer train, which stops at a few more places, takes an hour.
Yeah.
So door to door, if you get the express train, for me, it takes me about an hour door to door to get to my office, which is across the street from the train station.
Okay, that's
So
convenient.
I guess depends on how much time
So
from
it's
the train station.
An hour, you said.
Yeah,
And that's if you nail the train. You
that's
get there
if
at
you nail the
exact time.
train
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like on a bike, so you don't have to worry about parking and
So
things
that's the
like
thing.
that.
I feel like it's whatever. This is also one of maybe what you're saying about in terms of misrepresentation.
Yeah,
Because first of all, everybody wants to talk about the train line that's coming here,
which so far
which
is
is
not
not
planned.
coming here.
Yeah,
And then there's
yeah.
also rumors that a politician just dumped it out there, so people would think it's coming, so you get votes. The point is that it has enough infrastructure even to work as it is, but you got to be honest with the people. And our commute is fine. A lot of people do our commutes all the time. You just gotta, that
Yeah.
is what it's actually going to take to.
The commute
to
is
get
actually
it.
nice. The train's nice, and right now
Yeah.
they're doing a renovation to the whole station.
Nice.
And they're going to be adding on, from my understanding anyway, they're going to be adding on how many trains are coming. Like now it's during rush hour, it's 2 an hour. Now my understanding is they're going to do 2 an hour the whole day, not just during rush hour.
Oh, nice.
Which is great.
That's what they're doing in Jerusalem. That's what they're doing in all the big places.
Yeah.
So now
because this is like a hub for all the yeshuvim in the area also.
Oh
this
yeah, I
train
don't doubt that.
station.
That makes sense. I wanna one of those get back to the question, which is what are you telling people now when they're asking about Carmei?
So first of all, I don't talk to as many people as I used to. It sort of sells itself, and like at this point, there was a time where I don't think there was anyone that came to our community that I didn't talk to before they came. But it's been a long time since that happened because now everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows someone. But the first thing I do is I don't go into pitch mode. I ask them, "What are you actually looking for? Like, why are you looking into Carmei? Just because it's like a name? Like, what are you looking for? How is it?" And when we get to it, the talking points are still young, very beautifully aesthetic, great shul. Price always comes into account, and suburban, the feel, like the feel outside, the fact that you can just like walk places.
What are most of the people are commuting to Tel Aviv for work?
Most of the people, yeah.
It's a lot of high tech.
Some people work local. There's some people in Yerushalayim and Rehovot, Modi'in, but like most people, yeah. Most of our community, at least that I'm familiar with, is high tech, yeah, more or less. Varying degrees and whatever. It's obviously not everyone.
How many school options are there?
This is also a problem. We have so many people that the Dati Leumi community is so big, and it's way bigger than even our huge community. We're the biggest by far, but
in all of Carmei?
Yeah.
Anglos are predominant here?
Well, Carmei Tzion, we're not only Anglos.
But if
it's
predominantly Anglo and,
yeah. But out of Dati Leumi, for sure, we're the biggest. I mean, just to put things into perspective, the next biggest shul is like 100 families maybe, and we're at 260. It's like not even close.
Yeah,
it's not even close. I mean, but a lot of our families are younger. They don't have school-age kids. I said the 0 to 3.
So there's going to be a problem soon.
There's a problem now. There's already a problem. As far as we have there's 2 main schools that people send to in Carmei, and then there's one school that people are sending to in Kiryat. They're starting to send to in Kiryat. That's Tatmad, which is more religious. And then there's 2 Mamad, Mamachti Dati in Carmei. There's a third one, which is no, that's Haredi. Mamach is Haredi.
Yeah, Mamad.
Mamad is
Mamachti Dati.
Okay. And then there's Tatmad, which is Talmud Torah. Tatmad, Mamachti Dati. Talmud Torah, Mamachti Dati.
Wow, it's way too much.
Yeah,
it's like a Dati Leumi Torani.
Yeah. It's supposed to be more like that, and it's like a specialty.
They love
school.
their acronyms in this country.
They love,
super into
absolutely.
acronyms.
The acronyms are important. How are you going to know things? And so the school. So there's basically 2 main options that people send to in Carmei, and
are they
one
hard
of
to
them,
get into?
Yeah, one of them is. It used to be that they both were okay. Then there was a bit of a problem with. One of them, the principal had to get fired for corruption, and it sort of messed up.
Sorry, 1 second here.
It's messed up people wanting to go there, So now there's a big challenge right now with a physical space, and we'll see how it plays out. But it's literally happening this year is the first year that there's a challenge.
Okay, we have time for one more question, which is from all of your community blueprints, learning and exploration.
Yeah.
Viewing back onto what's the success you've seen here, what do you think has been the things maybe that people wouldn't think about that have lent to the success of the growth here that people are doing consistently, whether they know it or not, whether it's on purpose or not, that has actually built a strong community. Like you're dealing with problems based on an already existing community. You know what I mean? Based on okay, now how do we harness the energy, but not like how do we recruit energy. Yeah. You're saying now, how do we steer it? Fine, but that's
different.
That's an established problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, what do you think have been the things that have really,
I think we've spoken about a lot of them.
The physical space, I imagine.
The physical space.
The WhatsApp groups.
The WhatsApp groups. The community, the people that are willing to do it. I think in general, people that came here are not so judgmental. There's not like I can ask somebody. Here's a good example. I can ask somebody, where did you go for a Shabbat meal? And they could tell me, and I could be like, great. I'm like, why didn't they invite me or this person? Or like, why is they, like, there's less, that vibe is not, there's not like keep up with the Joneses. Like people are like doing a Brit or Simchat Bat or Bar Mitzvah, Bat Mitzvah, things like that.
You invite who you can, though?
And you do whatever you can, like it's fine. And you invite who you can and you can't. Like I'm sure.
And not everything is made for 260 families, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure
that's like a wedding.
I'm sure there's still some people, individuals, but the overall vibe is not like that. And it's very welcoming and warm in that regard. And I think that we started that way. And we were very focused on making sure that we not only established a shul currently, but that we hired a rabbi early on, and that we set ourselves up for future success by getting a plot of land and having a relationship with the municipality was also something that was very. Like I remember going on. I was interviewed. The Carmeat was being interviewed by Channel 14, and they invited me to represent the shul.
Look at this guy. He's pretending like he's never seen a camera before. He's a local celebrity.
This is a long time ago, and they took it off the internet, so you can't even find it anymore.
Hidden gem.
So it might be that it's not real what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But I remember I got there, and I said, yeah, we have like 100, we have almost 100 families. We had like 80 families, like 100. And then as I get off, the mayor at the time is like, you should have said 250 because you're gonna get there in like no time. Like that, he had like more of at that point, more of like we didn't understand. We were like pictures. We didn't understand anything what was going on. He had like more of like understanding of like this is something that's going to be growing.
Yeah, he saw the future a little
bit. We're catching up to it. But we set ourselves up from the type of community we wanted to be, as far as having a strong nusach takanon, like understanding what the shul davening was going to look like, having a rabbi, having a space that we're moving to, having the right atmosphere that we wanted to.
Sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila.
Yeah, and now you have to come back. Like as you get bigger, like sort of things start getting lost in translation. You have to sort of come back. Like, what is our core? Hold on, what do we actually mean? And that's something that we're going through now, and we'll continue.
I think that problem is the greatest expression of success.
It's a gift.
Because that means that you've passed the first stage. You're only ever looking for success of the stage that you're talking about. So now, okay, you have the next level, but thank God you're at the next level.
Yeah.
That's, I think we're going to wrap it there.
Great.
It's been actually a huge pleasure speaking with you, and I really appreciate it. Only Hatzlacha and success here. I love what they're doing here because there's so much value you can actually just see here. When I look at Beit Shemesh, people love it. People are already there, but it's because people are already there that people love it.
Right.
This is like, like the list of things that just make a lot of sense to come here. It's aesthetic, it's nice, it's beautiful, people are nice, people are coming, and thank God, only success.
I'll put one more pitch in. Like the people that are coming, like there is still room to create and to be a part of, and not just sort of go in the background. There's opportunity. Like a good example is today. There's a night run in Kirshner, and we're having the first time we're having a team that's going there, and we have to get it started. And there's always going to be opportunity. And even if I said the 20-80, you could be part of the 20, and it's okay.
20,
You could be part of the 20. You could do it. And
even if you move, there's 4 other people who are going to move that are not going to put in the effort and work.
Exactly.
You can be certain of that.
So. Hope that you get some value out of this, and
hopefully.
Keep growing, keep building.
Yeah, and if you don't, that's on you. Okay, you gotta think about that for a while.
All right. Yalla. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching that. If you enjoyed the episode, please rate, subscribe, all those fun stuff. We're going to drop links over here to all the episodes we have on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and stay tuned for a YouTube full Carmeat Day tour where we go through pretty much everything. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Reuven Kirshner, who took the time and told us everything about Carmeat. And if you want to find out more about what he's doing, you can check out his Spotify podcast called Community Blueprints. I think he's doing incredible stuff.